Hello, welcome back. I'm Miniature Mike, and we're going to continue our series of doing tier lists for all the Star Wars miniatures base sets. We're almost halfway through this whole entire thing, which is crazy. But if you haven't already checked it out, my last video was The Force Unleashed, so please take a look at it. It's one of my favorite sets, lots of fun, a lot of cool characters in there, especially from the Force Unleashed game. But this next set is Legacy of the Force. And it's a pretty cool one. Mostly focuses on like New Republic type of era characters that they kind of mix in. Really interesting kind of time period for Star Wars minis, and also some cool Old Republic characters mixed in too. So it's pretty cool. So we'll jump right on into it. And first person that we're going to look at is Nomi Sunrider. So she's pretty good overall, I'd say. There's a lot of things she has that I like going for her. So allies gain metal. This can be nice. It's not amazing, but it can be definitely kind of nice, especially for a lot of Force user squads. Her stats are, for a 41, are a little underpowered for 41, but she does have metal, which is good. So she can be, re-rolling stuff and succeeding. The thing I do like about her is that she has battle meditation, but Force renewal, so she can basically just kind of grab that commander effect if she wants it, and she does. It's not going to be much of a toll. She's got good lightsaber blocking abilities, and then Sever Force is pretty cool where if the opportunity works out where you can get next to somebody, and also the cool thing about this is it will want people to, it will cause people to do attacks of opportunity against you because they'll want to avoid having Sever Force happen. So I think that Sever Force is a pretty scary power. I think she's pretty good overall. I think in general, though, like if you took away Sever Force, and I'm not going to really include this commander effect. She's kind of like even peel, to be honest, if you compare the stats and abilities. She just costs 10 more, really, for having some more interesting and helpful Force powers. I think she's good. I'm taking a look here where I originally ranked her. I probably put her in A tier. I think A tier is just fine. I definitely think she's pretty awesome. Stats are a hair weak, though, but great character. Great character overall. Old Republic Recruit. This is a Rebel soldier, Rebel trooper. So that's all you got to say about it. Don't care about those. Old Republic Scout. It's all right. I don't know. It's just so goofy. It's like -4 defense till the end of the round against allies that do not have mana weapons. So it's like if you want to use flanking support, I'm not a big fan. I'm gonna put both of these down here. I guess it's a little bit more useful if you plan it right. Then you could, do this at the beginning of the round, make somebody have low defense, and then other people can have an easier time killing them. I'd rather just do more damage in combined fire. I just think doing all that to set up bad defense, forget about that. I'm going to use a Druid of Targeting or something, and then that takes care of everything. So I think these are pretty bad. So bottom of D tier. Darth Caedus. So my hot take on him is I think he's great, but I don't think he's S tier quite. And here's why. So his stats are pretty poor for a 60, really poor for a 60. And this guy really is like a kind of like a glass cannon of sorts to begin again. So if you take a look at what he's got double attack, melee, unique, okay, whatever, and then he can use a good range, a short range attack, which is nice. Obviously, his ANT flow walking is his signature power. If you use that, then you can basically have 2 turns, which is crazy, very powerful, and you can do a lot of interesting things with that for sure. But he doesn't have Master of the Force 2 anyway, so even if you do use this, it's expensive. You wouldn't be able to use Assault or Rage. So a lot of his powers, they take a lot of force to use, and they're really good, but he doesn't have enough to go around. So if you use flow walking, you'll be drained, and then you can't use illusion. And illusion is definitely his big defense that he has, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to use it often. So I think if you plan him right, and especially if there's a way to kind of boost his force somehow, then he becomes very dangerous. But I think on his own, really interesting character, really fun. I'm going to put him above Nomi Sunrider because, the threat of being able to do some of these, powers is pretty wild, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna definitely have to put him in A tier in general, but you got to watch out. I might even be overrating him, honestly, even with this type of a rating. But like, he's definitely not S tier in my opinion. So okay, so there's Darth Crate. So in my opinion, Darth Crate is S tier. I think he's got, again, for 76, the stats are not wonderful, but he has great crab armor, so it's gonna help him out a lot. Triple's great. He's pilot thrown in, which is fun, I guess. And then he has deadly attack, which doubles the chance of critical hit. So very useful. Crab armor 6 is very useful. He has the commander effective granting extra attack. Classic top tier commander effect. And then his force powers, I like him a lot for the most part. So he has force lightning, which is just very basic, really useful, very helpful to have this one. And then his sweep is all right if you're approaching groups of enemies, but for the most part, like I think he's probably I don't know. I feel like the S tier characters in this set aren't like as crazy as S tier characters in other sets, in my opinion. But I think I like him as S tier because he's just a very well packaged, force to be reckoned with. And I like what he has to offer. It's nothing like wacky and out of the way, like crazy, like Darth Caedus. That's very hard to use, and that's definitely has a high potential. But with him, he's just very nice out of the gate, good defensive capabilities with crab armor, works against everything, and good offensive potential, triple attack. But again, he's kind of like a jack of all trades type of character, but he's a really good jack of all trades in my opinion. Darth Nil, so he's going to be our first B tier. Pretty good. I think he definitely has pretty good things going for him. Like, he has the melee reach stuff going on. Flurry's nice, but again, it's not going to happen too often, but it is nice to have. His stats for a 42 force user are kind of underpowered, but still they work. Kind of reminds me of Cornhorn in some ways, just in general with what's going on here. Force Lightning 1's fine. It's a good ranged attack for guaranteed damage. It's good. Deflect is all right. So this guy, I don't know. I think he's fine as a B tier character. Giving followers Flurry can be nice, but it's one of those low chance opportunities. Definitely solid force user overall. Won't complain about him at all. Darth Talon, I think she is. I think I put her above Nami Sunrider, just hair. So she has some really cool things going for her. So she doesn't cost quite as much as the other ones. She's got underwhelming stats for sure, but she has loner, so she's kind of meant to be on her own. So when she's on her own, and she has twin and mobile, so she can kind of do a lot of hit and run stuff. She can hide with stealth, which is all the reason why to balance her they kind of put these down. So great on her own. Pretty effective, kind of just move in, do some damage, move out, especially if they're by themselves. And then the force powers, so force bubble, great. So awesome defensive power. It only costs 1 force too, which is wonderful. And then force lightning 1, just to kind of get that little short range force power, very effective. So I think she's, I might even put her higher than Darth Caedus, but like Darth Caedus's like potential is really scary, so I'm going to keep him higher. I think she's really cool. If you use her right, you can do some pretty wild, pretty useful kind of hit and run strikes with her, because she's got all the tools to do some good stuff like that. Lumaya the Dark Lady, so it's kind of funny. She's the one rare Sith in this set, but in some ways she's like might be the best one. I still prefer Darth Krayt. That's just my bias. But I think Lumaya is insane, like absolutely insane if you take a look at all the power she has going for her. So she costs 53. She also has stealth, like Lumaya, like Darth Talon. She has better stats. She has some. I think she's just kind of held back by maybe the lackluster force power, but she has a lot of things. She has evade and stealth, so like just killing her with range is going to be hard. But then she has melee range 3, so if you get within melee range of her and then you move, like it's just really hard to approach her and to be able to do some good damage. And then regeneration 10, like if you want to get away from the self-destruct because you want to kill her, you're going to have to move away. That's going to cause, all sorts of hard things. It means you have to use evade. You have to worry about evade. You have to worry about melee reach 3 and attacks of opportunity. So I think this person's just such a difficult person to deal with. So difficult. And she has stealth. So on top of that, like, and regeneration. She can fix herself. That's a great defensive stuff going on. And their force powers is pretty lackluster. Just you can use force push twice just to kind of like, and it is helpful for her because you can kind of move them out of range so that they. It does pair really well, but you can only use it twice. So you can move them out of their melee range, but still in your melee range. So if they move back to you to attack you melee, it's attack of opportunity. So I think it does pair great, but she's not quite S tier. Like doesn't like quite feel right to kind of push her into that category, even though I feel like I should. But I think she's brutally underrated in my opinion. But that's just my take. Republic Commando Training Sergeant. So these guys are, I'm going to put them, I think, I'm pretty sure I stuck these guys in B tier, but I probably shouldn't have. Nah, I think B tier is fine. I'm going to put them above this. Nope, wrong guy. Training Sergeant, where are you? Probably passed over him like twice. There we go. I'll put him above nil. So this guy is kind of expensive. So he's taking 30 points on your squad to basically make your commandos so much better than they already are. So commandos, as you know, they're interesting. Most of them are kind of useless or underpowered, except for like 2 of them. So on his own, his stats are whatever. He can like defend himself slightly, but you want to keep him out of harm's way. So the cool thing with this guy is he makes it so your commandos can combine fire better, which is maybe helpful for shooters like Sev. He gives them all shields too, which is really, really good for their survivability since they don't have very much as it is. And then also for the commander effect, he makes it so that whenever one of our allies with Order 60s combine fire, the attacker gets plus damage. So basically, this commander effect and Delta fire support kind of go together to make really strong combined fires. This could be awesome for Sev. And then allies with Order 66 and grenades 10 instead getting grenades 30. So this is here to fix a few things. You can fix grenadiers, like the elite grenadiers can be really good now. You can fix Scorch, really help Scorch a lot. So I think this is here to really fix Scorch and make him really, really powerful. So this guy essentially, Commando Boss is already pretty solid. Having shields 2 is good. Being able to combine fire is great. Sev's even better now. And then Scorch is really scary. Being able to have shields 2 and have the grenades 30, really powerful. The only thing this doesn't really address is it doesn't really fix Fixer. I'm still not a big fan of Fixer. I think he should have had something else. I don't know, but whatever. He is what he is. But either way, I think this guy. The reason it's B tier is because it's very, very specific to improving like pretty much just 3-4 characters, which is good. It makes them really, really scary, and you can mix them with other things to make them really good too. This guy needs to go here, but it's I think for me, it's a little bit too specific. It only affects very few people. Like it is good that this affects other people too, for sure, the commander effects, but I think high B tier, and that's not a slight at all. I think these things are really cool. If you put them with commandos, you should have a fun time if you put your squad together right. Darth Tyrannus, Legacy of the Dark Side. So this, in my opinion, is the best. This is the best Count Dooku, Darth Tyrannus, whatever you want to call him, in the game. And there's 4 of them. I'll make some videos later that kind of breaks down all of these guys. I will put them bottom of A tier though, just because Count Dooku's are really good in general. They're very specific to melee fighting. But this is the best one. I think he does the best. So he's got great hit points for Count Dooku's. He's one of the cheaper ones, but they all are about the same price, about 50. So again, great for the melee. Really high attack, so you're not going to be missing people when you're close up to him. And then the cool thing is he's got Renewal, he's got Master of the Force 2, and he's got Block and Riposte. So, you can block an attack. If it gets through anyway, you could block it again. You could just riposte it if you want to. So I think this guy is just someone really, really hard to deal with in melee situations. And then if he charges up his force enough, being able to use Force Lightning 4 is pretty devastating and powerful for a short-range attack. Very powerful. And it replaces attacks too, so that's even better. So I think I still prefer these people more. I like Nomi's... she is a hair cheaper than this guy, but I do like her... I think Sever Force has high potential. I like the very interesting aspects to all these different Sith. So I will put him down here. He's very specific to melee fighting, but he's extremely good at it. So he's, in my opinion, I think I might even prefer him over Count Dooku of Sereno because he has very strong Force lightning. He does have, even though he doesn't have Makashi style, like at least he has Force Master Force 2, and he has these powers. It pretty much makes up for it, in my opinion. And I think his stats are equal to the other guys', so I think this is fair. And he's cheaper. So Boff and Noble, pretty dang good. I'm going to stick these guys again and just probably in B tier, just below these. Being able to have heal 10's nice. Really, all this guy's there for is he's basically just an Imperial officer that can heal. That's awesome. I think that's really, really awesome. So I take Nil over them, but I think what he can do is pretty cool. Like, he just kind of mix into a squad. Heal 10's not going to do that much, but you're not really counting on this guy to do anything but his commander effect, and maybe combining fire here and there. So I think he's pretty sweet. Pretty solid. Dina Shan, let's see, where did I stick her? I think I probably stuck her in B tier probably. So she's got some okay things going for her. She has very high defense for someone that costs 12, which is really cool. Pretty solid stuff. So her whole point is having stealth, having disruptive, so that you can, get close to an enemy commander, mess up the commander effect, and that'll help your squad out. It is kind of specific, so I will put her at the very bottom of B tier, maybe top of C tier. I don't know. The thing with Dina Shan though is it's like it is good. Like, don't get me wrong, these stats on a 12, very good. Like, that alone is very awesome. But to make her effective, you have to put her in harm's way, and you may or may not be able to use the disruptive to your advantage. But having the high defense sure makes it more likely. So, if you organize her right, she's all right. I might actually bump her. Do I really like her more than some of these other people I have in B tier? I'm going to put her top of C tier. No. I'll keep her at the bottom of B tier. I'm going to keep C tier truly for people that I'm just not all that hot on. Elite Rebel Commando. This guy goes straight to S tier. They put way too much into this guy, so this guy costs 2 more than just a regular commando. They have way better stats. They have twin attack. They have ion guns, so they can blow the crap out of droids if they wanted to. They have stealth, of course, super stealth with the officer, whatever the rebel trooper commander officer guy. Grenades 10. His grenades is 20 again if you put him with the rebel commando strike leader. And then his override, like, holy crap! An override is at the end of his turn. Let's not replace his attack. So I might even put this guy above him. Like, this guy's crazy. Like, bonkers, broken, crazy, kind of. Like, what is going on here? General Dodonna, he's also pretty solid. And being able to, you can choose to activate one character per phase. So it's cool that you have the choice. And he costs 9, and you can be in whatever squad you want to, being able to have the affinity. A thing I like about Admiral Ozol more than him is he does the same thing, but it's not optional. But he does have the option to maybe bring in reinforcements. So I think Dodonna, very solid. I'll put him in B tier again with these other people. I do like Ozol just in general, but having the flexibility on when you want to do this is definitely pretty helpful. So let's see, where's General Dodonna? There you go. Okay. I think B tier sounds good. I'll put him right up there. Luke Skywalker, Legacy of the Light Side. I think he's pretty underrated. Yeah, pretty underrated in my opinion. So I think in general, what I think about this guy is you don't realize he can actually shoot. So I think in my original video, I'm pretty sure I stuck this guy. I put him top of B tier. I'll stick him top B tier for right now. So I'm trying to figure myself out here. So he costs 40. His stats are fine, I guess, for someone who costs 40. But he does have range. So he has stealth, double, greater mobile, careful. So if he decides not to move, he can do more stuff. Accurate shot, unique. This guy's definitely, I'm going to put him, I'm going to stick him in A tier. It's just, he's a stealth shooter who, if you just sit him in stealth, he can sit still and shoot better. He's got mind tricks, so he can make people who get too close become activated potentially. Deflect is really good. So I'm like, this guy's really scary. He's really expensive, unfortunately, but if you can kind of move him around and kind of utilize all that stuff, double greater mobile, all that stuff, you can do some really, really, really powerful things. So I think leaving him there is probably the. So I'm gonna stick him there. I'm realizing this is starting to go a lot longer than I was anticipating. I'm just gonna try to speed up. So these guys, C tier. Nice that they have bodyguard. Not a lot of hit points though for having that. Um, so I'm not a big fan of these. Of course, they do have mighty. They have melee reach 2 and damage 10, so you can do some stuff with that. Twidley Scout is decent. I'm gonna stick this guy. Being able to use rangefinder is decent-ish. Not like incredible or whatever. So I'm just gonna probably put on like bottom of B tier. Interior's Draco. This guy is definitely a B tier guy. So 33, decent stats. You know, can use her Kurtosis Gauntlet a few times. Having synergy with the Knights can be really helpful if you have a bunch of them. So I think he's pretty good overall. Where did I stick him originally? High B tier. That sounds just fine. I even prefer him to Darth Mill, so I'll stick him up there. Yeah. Per Rowan Fell. This guy is another S tier character. I think he's better than Darth Crate. So the reason is this. So he can give any adjacent people follower bodyguard. So it's going to be hard to kill him. He's got really good offensive potential. He's got good defensive potential. He can block. He's got like opportunist and triple, and it's a trap. And synergy. So you have like a knight with you. They're going to be. This guy's just going to be doing a good job. Unfortunately, his defense is kind of crappy, so he'll take the damage. But for 57 and having lots of bodyguard options and having good offensive potential, kind of reminds me of Ulick Quildroma, except the opposite. This guy, Quildroma's more beefy in the stats, very bad offense, but then he has like the whole bodyguard thing and block thing, whereas this guy has those, but the offense is there, which is what you want. And he's a little cheaper too, so I think he's pretty sweet if you kind of set him up that way. Imperial Knights. These guys are B tier, and there are 2 in this set, but I'm just including 1 to keep this a little bit shorter. Where's the Knights? Where's the Knights? They have white lightsabers. There we go. I'm going to put them right there. Really solid melee unit overall. Their Kurtosis Gauntlet probably won't work too often, and they can use it twice, which is kind of fine. But for melee, like these guys can be pretty powerful, cheap melee options. Not like incredible, but like really good. So I'll even put them just above Dodonna slightly. Imperial Pilot, not crazy about these. Like, yeah, you can pair them with your machinery to make it a little bit better, but I'll say bottom, low C tier. They're useful, but not great. Imperial Security Officer, these guys can be pretty cool. So there's things I do like about them is people can lose it to trap. You have deadly attack, cunning attack. So unfortunately, they're really not as good as I have put them in squads to make them pretty good. But just on their own, they really don't scare me too much. But they are definitely useful. They're interesting. If you get that critical hit off, then you can do a little bit more damage, and having it to trap is helpful. But otherwise, I think I'll probably just put these guys probably low B tier or something like that. I think that sounds just fine. Jagged Fell, pilots gain gregarious, so not okay for people who are going up and attacking close people. But if you think about it, so I don't really love this guy, but if you realize he costs 10 and these are his stats, this guy's kind of just a gimme. Like, that's crazy. Like, to have this high of stats, but not really be all worth that much. And so you can go New Republic too if you want, so that's fine. I think for him, I am going to put him probably high B tier. And the reason I'm not putting him necessarily any higher than he is right here is, I'm going to probably do him like high B tier. Just because for 10 points, you get some of these stats, like, it's kind of almost just a gimme. That's just so strong for just having 10 stats. He's not, of course, he doesn't do too much. But if you put him with good combinations, try to utilize the pilot followers, gain gregarious, it could be helpful. But I think that looks fair, yeah. Marcia Fell. I think she's okay-ish. She's probably low B tier for me, though. I'm going to put her down here. So she is 22. So again, like pretty solid when it comes to being like a melee option, but her attack's really bad and it can't improve much. Like she doesn't even have synergy, so she can block. She can do some really interesting she has like interesting options when it comes to doing like mind trick and alter, which is really good. But she doesn't do much else. So it's kind of like a glorified Jedi consular in some ways, but she's definitely B tier for being able to have some of these different capabilities, in my opinion. Yeah, I think feeling a little bit hotter, so I'll put it there. Yeah. Mothmore Zavid. Not a fan of this guy. I'm gonna put him down into low C tier. So his commander effect is if you have line of sight, then you can choose to only activate one. That's not very good. By itself at 11, those are okay stats, I guess. But like, I'm not a fan of this guy, so he's low C tier. The condition is not very good. Moff Nina Calixt. I can't pronounce that. She's S tier. I'll put her right behind him. So stats bad, but being able to give characters in your squad with stealth. Basically, it's just any character in your squad with stealth. So her super stealth conditions are the best, in my opinion. They're best. She also has recon, so that's fantastic. And then if people come up, well, I guess she can make it so her people are better at killing people with stealth. So she's like a very good super stealther, anti-stealther. Pairs great with some really cool people. I know Greek Commando. These guys are decent. I'm going to put them in B tier. Where's the No Greek Commandos? I skipped it. He's right. Man, it's hard to keep track of these things sometimes. No Greek Commandos right up here. Let's put this guy right here. So the things that I like about him, he's actually above. Yeah. 23. So decent stats altogether, but he has stealth, so he can kind of get to his target. Once he gets there, he can do so much damage. He can do poison, cunning attack, double, melee. So if you set him up right, he's going to be getting plus 12 attack, 40 damage each attack, maximum potential. That's so strong. So I think I might even bump him up even higher. So if you use this guy right, he's pretty dang powerful. Man, I'm gonna put him that high. Yeah, that sounds good. Really strong offensive potential, and he can get there. Shadow Stormtrooper. So these guys are okay, low B tier. Again, they could benefit from her to be able to just be more useful in general. But I'm gonna stick these guys right here. So really, all they do is sit in stealth, don't move, get better attack. And that's why they are 13 is pretty much just having stealth. They're like elite stormtroopers, but quite a bit better actually. So that's why they're definitely a tier above them. I'll put them just above the ISB agent. I like having stealth with these, but you gotta give them a little bit more than what they have to make them more effective. Actually, I'm gonna leave them down there. Security officer, pretty solid on his own. So not great stats here, but he does have stealth, which helps. He has evade, so it's hard to get killed. Opportunist, so he's just kind of like has all these different kind of like bag of tricks to help you out. And then your allies within 6 squares, they also gain. It's a trap and deceptive, so you can be decent. Kind of have chaining together, anti-stealth capabilities. But if someone does have stealth and they do see him, they're going to take him out very quickly, even though he has evade. So I think he's fine. But I don't think he's like that crazy or anything like that. So I'll put him just right around this area. Galactic Alliance Scout. So this guy is pretty decent, to be honest with you. So stats are bad. But he has stealth, which is good. Spotter, so he can kind of get himself to a position to use spotter. Flanking support and spotter, they really go well hand to hand. They can. It's nice to tack on. And then Dorgamic's all right to throw on there. It's not as good as Override and Satchel Charge in my opinion, but it can be nice. So I think this guy, I put him in low B tier. I think bottom of B tier is just fine. Pretty solid. Like that all around. Galactic Alliance Trooper. So the thing I like about this guy is I think he is high C tier, but that's not necessarily like too bad of a knock. I do like that he has high defense. Like that is good to have the high defense. He can attack twice. Forget about using damage reduction, which is all right to tack on there. So pretty decent overall. Little expensive, but the high defense definitely helps out. Han Solo Galactic Hero. He is very high A tier in my opinion. So I'm gonna put him. Who? How crazy do I want to get with this guy? I'm gonna put him just above Luminara, and the reason is this is just the ultimate version of Solo. Great stats. You know, he has accurate and cunning and greater mobile, and double, so he can move around and go crazy. Like, hit anything he wants to, very powerfully. You know, people get too close, the commander effects don't work. Initiative suppressing things don't work anymore. The only reason I'm holding it back is he is really freaking expensive. You know, even for all the great stuff he is, he's so expensive though. So he's probably just barely out of S tier, but he's close to it. Awesome figure. Battle Master. So this guy is also up there as well, in my opinion. So fantastic stats, and he can do all sorts of stuff. So great range attacks, group attacks. Great with triple, so great for melee. Great for melee. Holy crap! Yeah, having riposte and triple, very strong. And then he has like a lot of powers. So like he can use grenades, and there's the save 11. Or if he wants to, he could use lightning, which is guaranteed. Well, actually, just kidding. I thought this was lightning too. So he has grip and lightning. So he's a lot of just off. This guy's just offense, offense, offense. And the cool part is, I guess the defense isn't exactly there, but he's just all offense. Really good character all overall. Like so many just bags of tricks of things that you can do. So I'm going to put him kind of up in that category. Maybe just a hair behind Luminara. I think she's super underrated. But I don't know. His offense is pretty scary, so let's put him up there. Leia Organa Solo Jedi Knight. She is bad. She's a very, very bad character, so I'm going to put her down on D tier. So for a 40, her stats underwhelm for a 40. She has no other cool abilities. And like really all she does is she has battle meditation, which is, you know, nice to throw on there because she has force renewal. And she can defend herself against, you know. So she has like meditation, she has trick and deflect, but I think for what you're paying, this is not a character I run on my team at all. Not really interested in her. I think D tier is too harsh, but there's a different Princess Leia that came out in Jedi Academy. She's what you want. You don't want this. Force Spirit. I'm going to put him up in B tier. Let's put him just right here. So for 10 points, you're giving your guy Force Renewal. He's a little bit faster than Kenobi, than the other Force Spirits, which is really good. Yeah, really good. Just good to... the problem is with this guy, though, is it's not necessarily that helpful in New Republic, since a lot of people already get Force Renewal. But there's people who still need it. Definitely a useful character for sure. Very, very strong. Can help some people become even stronger. Mara Jade Skywalker. So she's not as good as the other Mara Jade, but she's passable in general. Put her top of C tier. So for 50 points, you know, you're getting someone who does have pretty solid potential, but for 50, I just don't feel like she's worth 50. Like, I'm sorry, like, the stats are sort of underwhelming, even for a 50. But she does have cunning. She has double. She has metal. She has stealth. So I think maybe I'm being too harsh on her. It's actually not that bad. I would just prefer the other Mara Jade any day over this one, the Mara Jade from Alliance and Empire. So I'll put her up here in B tier, bottom of B tier. Like, yeah, the fact that she has stealth is good, so she can get up to the enemies, use these powers. Deflect isn't as helpful when she has stealth, but it's still necessary, I guess. And then Force Push is okay, I suppose. But for some reason, there's just something about her. I think maybe it's just her cost that just kind of scares me away. But if you really think about it, it's not too bad for having stealth. But I don't know. I said I'd put her top of C tier. I'll just leave her top of C tier. Shadow Vow. So he is my definition of top of B tier. So he costs 50. His hit points are all solid. Maybe a hair lower for someone who costs that much. But he has great special abilities. He just kind of like... he's like a better Jedi Battle Master because he has block and deflect. He's got precision. He has Master of the Force too. He's got riposte, so he can do good in a lot of things. And I think, like, even though he has double and greater mobile, like, I don't feel like that's as crazy necessarily on people with melee attack, but it's nice to have, I guess. But I think he's just the epitome of like a really, 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 really solid just Jedi character who can do a lot. The only thing that's holding me back about him is he is kind of expensive. He might go quick, especially if he loses force points. He only gets one force point a turn, so he might be running out fast. Wolf Sazin. This guy, I put him in B tier as well, although he's a little different. So I like that he has surprise move, so he can kind of like get to a position that he wants to get to, and then he can use his powers. But in general, I don't like him nearly as much as Shadow Val and some of these other B tier characters. So I'm gonna stick him probably just right down here. That sounds just fine. Interesting figure, but bad survivability. Cade Skywalker Bounty Hunter. So this guy, he is top of A tier. I was thinking of S tier, but if you just think, I just had a hard time with it because he has no defense. I like that he can heal himself once to kind of like help or heal somebody else. Force push 3 is all right. If you can give this guy force renewal, then it's kind of, he's very strong. But the fact that he has twin and splash and double, so you can really just kind of get that damage out there is really, really strong in my opinion. And then against unique characters, he's really powerful. So I like to see maybe do 30 damage maybe, but I think top of A tier is probably just fine for him. You know, the more I think about it, it might be a little bit too expensive, but the fact that he is ranged and he can pretty much guarantee some damage and he has great force powers, although they are one-time use, really strong. Delia Bloo, I think she's wildly incredible character. She's definitely up in A tier as well. So the thing with her that's wild is, so these aren't that great, but she has accurate, bounty, and cunning, so she can hit whoever she wants to pretty well. And then she's incredible with machinery. Like I always use this character if I'm going to use a high machinery character with like industrial repair 30 and gunner 10. Very, very. I know she's kind of expensive, but I think for what she does, she's the best at it, really. So I think I'm going to probably stick her just up here in A tier. Doug Fringer, I don't really care for these guys all that much. Like they're all right, I guess, but I'd probably put them just down in C tier with the rest of these things. It's good close quarters, I guess. Good stats, I suppose, but not the best attack and all that unless you're really close to them. Duro Scoundrel, having cunning attacks fine, but it's, again, I'm going to throw this guy down here, maybe just below. Cunning attack 20 can be nice, don't get me wrong, but it is pretty one-time use. Mercenary, so the thing that is really cool with intuition is I believe, I'd have to look this up. I'm not sure how intuition interacts with mercenary, but I'm pretty sure it overrides it. But either way, for having mercenary, intuition can be helpful to get into a good spot, and then evade can help you stay alive as you are your mercenary self. So I think for a mercenary, I think he's probably what you want to be using for a mercenary and not some of the other ones. So I'll put it's definitely sticking on B tier. It's probably bottom of B tier. A solid mercenary altogether. Like if you're gonna have a mercenary, you want to have these powers to kind of help you out. This guy's way overpriced. The guard droid is. This guy's down in C tier. I'm gonna stick him down below here. So I used to think he was really cool, but the fact that he has bad attack and twin and it costs 30, like there's so many other people I'd rather have at that price point. Sheesh, that I think are a little more effective. So I'm just not a fan of this guy. With the Separatists, he's better, of course, but Human Bodyguard, I like the Human Bodyguard quite a bit. I'm gonna stick him up here. The reason I like him is that for an 11-point piece, he's probably the best bodyguard. You can get 40 hit points for 11, and he can help with that combined fires if you need it or whatever. So I'm definitely a fan of this bodyguard. A Human Scoundrel, this is the exact same thing. The exact same thing as Duro Scoundrel, just the opposite power. They're kind of 1A, 1B. Human Scout. Again, this is very similar to this kind of scout that we have down here, although this guy is more general for everybody. I'm not really a big fan of these types of powers. It's just kind of my preference, but I'll stick him down here. Jirai Sim, pretty alright character in general. I think he's probably going to wind up like in maybe B tier for me. Pretty good, but the thing with him is for 24, not very great survivability, but he does have Bounty Hunter and Cunning and Jedi Hunter. So all those things really just kind of add together and do some pretty good stuff. And then, he has that bug mixed in, which could be kind of fun. So I think he's probably just a B tier, maybe like a low B tier. Like, don't get me wrong, these are all really nice things. He has a lot of powers, and they stack well, but I'm still not totally convinced that he's necessarily the guy I want to be rolling with all of the time. So I put Jirai Sin, high B tier. I think that's a little bit too high. I think I like some of these B tier characters more. I'll put Jirai Sin just right here. Really good, pretty solid. And he can do a lot of damage to a target. And having Thudbug can be really helpful in support, so I'll leave him there. Kildor Bounty Hunter, so I really like these guys a lot because for 13, they have great hit stats, and they have stealth and self-destruct 40, so you can mix these guys in a super stealth squad, then they become a nightmare, like a total nightmare. So I think I did put him in A, that's way too high. I'm going to put him like high B tier though, just because man, you could do some really wild things with self-destruct 40. Of course, people can kind of move away from you to avoid it from happening. But if you plan it right, then I think you can be pretty scary with this power. And the stats are good for a 13. Rhodium Blaster for higher. Nah, I don't buy this thing very much at all. Kind of poor. Yeah, kind of poor stats overall for being a 13. And Deadeye's okay, but I'm not a fan. Trandoshan Mercenary, this is not good at all. I'm going to put this guy at the bottom of... So the reason this is so bad is Mercenary will prevent you from using Rend or Double Claw, and his low HP will prevent you from using Regeneration. So he's all these powers, but you're never going to use them probably. So for that reason, I'm going to stick him down here in D tier. Not a fan. Mercenary Commander, this guy is in fact going to be an S tier character. So one of the best Boba Fett's. I think it's probably the second best Boba Fett in general, just because he has, he doesn't have that one-dimensionalness of the Boba Fett mercenary, and he's not quite as crazy as the Bounty Hunters one, but great stats. And this one does lose Bounty Hunter because he's not doing that anymore. But he still's got all the stuff you want, like flight. He has accurate shot. He's got cunning attack, double, greater mobile, and then his penetration. So all the penetration's kind of tacked on. It's not all that amazing. It's helpful. So great damage potential there. Shoot whoever you want, run away. Missiles 30 can be kind of cool too if you have clumps of enemies that you want to blast. But really strong. And this commander effect is one of the better commander effects. So giving your Mandalorian followers that are close to you, letting them have accurate shot. Oof. Man, the Mandalorians, they got a lot of good commander effects that all affect each other. So like giving, the Super Commandos accurate shot, like, wow. Goodness gracious. So he's probably one of the best characters. The only reason I'm putting this guy higher is because he's kind of broken. That's why. Otherwise, this truly is the best character in the set, in my opinion. Canderous Ordo, pretty cool guy. So this guy is going to be a high B tier, in my opinion. Maybe, nah, he's A tier. I think he's A tier. The reason is I'm going to put him below some of these people. So he's very expensive, but he's just a complete machine gun. So having 10 attack, 30 damage, triple regeneration. So he's very expensive, and you just want him to sit in a spot and just shoot, and that's it. And he's very good at that. If you can boost the attack, that would be helpful, because having 10 attack is good, but against some strong enemies, you're kind of getting 50-50 on the attack, which is fine, but I think Canderous Ordo definitely deserves a spot in A tier. Low A tier for sure, but pretty cool potential if you set him up well. And he's also a Mandalorian, and they have great commander effects going around. Mandalorian Gunslinger. I think one of the guys gives out twin attack, so Canderous Ordo is crazy, so he's definitely an A tier. Gunslinger, I think the Gunslinger is also pretty good as well. I think I put this in A tier, so for 17, really good stats. You got evade, it's gonna be hard to kill him. You have double and cunning. So I think I'll stick this as like a Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian's got a lot of stuff you like. I think B tier is more appropriate actually, so I'm gonna stick him just above this. Mandalorian Trooper, looks like we're almost done, and in good time too. It's a good thing I sped up. Mandalorian Trooper, these guys are solid because they have cunning, deadeye, and stealth. And so having all of that and good stats for 14, like these guys are, I think these guys might be bottom of A tier along with him, just because I think these just such a good combination of like good hit points, easy to get more damage, having stealth, pretty dang scary, honestly. Wow. Elite Yuuzhan Vong, I put these guys in B tier in my last video, but I think they really belong in A. Yuuzhan Vong Elite Warrior, so these guys are a bit better. I do like that they actually have a lot of hit points now for being 14. They have twin attack, which is helpful, I guess. It's more helpful considering some of the other people in your squad that can help him out. Voodoo Crab Armor is 11, so that's going to be more useful as well. Deadbug's always good. So I think this guy's definitely like a B tier, I think. For sure. I think he's definitely like a B tier warrior. For 14, you got some pretty good stuff going for you, survivability. But you will need some commander effects to make him a little bit better, to be completely honest with you, but I think he's going to be B tier. The Jedi Hunter, this guy is pretty strong in my opinion. So the Jedi Hunter is costs 20. You have the best crab armor. You have twin, but you also have Jedi Hunter as well. So like you can get a pretty consistent 40 damage on a Jedi, and then you have pretty solid survivability. So I like him. I think these guys are pretty good. I'm gonna put them also in B tier, but quite a bit higher. I'm gonna probably put them just below. They kind of are similar to the Nogri guy, kind of, in being like an assassin in some ways. But this guy's offensive potential is through the roof, so I'll leave him there. But this guy's pretty good too. Yeah, this guy can do 80 damage, maybe. This guy can only do 40, but he does have other good things going for him. Yuuzhan Vong Shaper, this guy's just going to be top of C tier. I think they're very useful because you can give your allies extra damage. And I think for the Yuuzhan Vong, I'm actually going to stick this guy in B tier, just right up here. Let's see. Wolf Sazin. Okay. I think I'll stop right about here with this guy. So the reason this guy is so important is pretty much all the Yuuzhan Vong do 10 damage. And so giving them all more damage, like giving, War Master Sabang Law more damage easily. Like a lot of this guy, along with some of the other commanders, they give like poison. They just give things that give more and more damage because their base damage is so bad. It's still hard to kind of get the Yuuzhan Vong to kind of work out right still sometimes. And for 21, he does have, like, if you put him in the back, he should be able to maybe stay alive a little bit longer. But, yeah, just being able to give the extra 10 damage out to Yuuzhan Vong allies is kind of a game changer because the Yuuzhan Vong, before that, they just don't have offensive potential. So this helps them a little bit. Again, I'm not going to bump it up too much because even with this, the Yuuzhan Vong still have issues. And you can die pretty quick too. And it's limited, unfortunately. If this was unlimited, then you probably have to bump out up to like 30 or something. But it's still worth it if that was the case. Warrior, Yuuzhan Vong Warriors are fine. I'm not a huge fan of them. Although I think I like him more than most of these other things. The thing I like with Yuuzhan Vong Warrior is just having Thudbug. And I prefer the Advanced Scouts instead because, at least I think that's what they are. Because they're cheaper, they have stealth, and they have Thudbug. That's great. Like, just give me that. So I think these guys are C tier. They're all right. They need a lot of help in terms of upgrades and stuff. It's nice to have some armor and 30 hit points, so you maybe like survive an extra shot here or there. But for the most part, not too impressive. I'd almost rather like to see these guys costing 7. Then I would feel a bit better about them. But I think 8 is also fair because they do have a lot of other interesting things going for them as well. So I think it's going to shape it up. Again, please leave a like, comment, subscribe as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Legacy of the Forest. Really, really good overall. Lots of great A tier, B tier, S tier characters. Really, truly just one broken character in my opinion. But overall, I think this is a great set. So anyways, I'll try to get another video out maybe next week or sometime next week. But until then, I'll see you next time.